Good afternoon. My name is Amergen.
And my name is Evangeline.
And this is Music to Our Ears, a TV show where two people passionate about music sit down and talk about music and the ideas that surround it. Here in the Pacific Northwest, the trees are changing colors and the rain is finally coming in, which means that we are getting ready to set in for another gloomy season. As the winter changes, so does people's taste in music, and with that change comes a little moment called Sad Girl Autumn, where the poppy music of the summer transitions to the slower, more downbeat sounds of the fall, and as the weather turns, so does the themes of these songs as well, which focus on topics like heartbreak, losing a loved one, and generally trying to cope with a world that gets more unfriendly rainy day after rainy day.
Sad Girl Autumn is as much about music as it is about a number of other things that predate the term. Cardigans, Gilmore Girls, mugs of warm drinks, and Instagram filters which project warmth, all for the purpose of embracing the vibes of the season, focusing on the adaptation rather than the rejection of the Sad Girl Autumn. Isn't really to be sad, but rather to explore the sort of low energy state which is more melancholic and allows for reflection and consideration of the past. While the term itself first appears in 2021 with Taylor Swift's release of All Too Well, the Sad Girl Autumn version, which is an alternative arrangement of the same song off of her popular album Red, the practice of using the turning of season to accept this seasonal energy and understand it, much in the same way one would read a sad book, not to cry, but to explore a different mental state.
The music of the season is mostly the same. Low energy, largely acoustic, and focused around the ideas of regret, struggle, and finding oneself when left to their own devices. There are no sad girl artists per se, but there are a large collection of artists who produce enough music with this vibe that every September they appear over and over again on playlists named Sad Girl Autumn, followed by some emoji, which normally connotates fall or being sad. Massive pop artists like the previously mentioned Taylor Swift sit alongside indie artists like Phoebe Bridgers, Clairo, and Mitski, alongside a large number of R&B acts like Frank Ocean and Steve Lacy, and finally a smattering of the up-and-coming artists who were popular at the time. In this way, Sad Girl Autumn is not really a genre in the same way other seasonal genres like Christmas music are with well-defined works and concepts, but is rather primarily the construction of the music industry, which is ever more focused on ensuring that music is targeted towards the audience most likely to listen. No artist would ever put out a Sad Girl Autumn album, but like many other nebulous playlist genres, you know it when you hear it. And with that sort of, nebulous floating around idea of what is Sad Girl Autumn, we decided to go to the students of Oregon State. So we decided to talk to a number of students here on campus who have their own ideas about what the season makes them want to listen to and what Sad Girl Autumn really means to them.
Let's watch it.
Encounter a single mean person. As much as you insist that you're mean, Jada.
I don't know if I've...
For Black History Month here at Oregon State.
So give the ball for there's not like a baseball. Yeah. Oh, it's also eliminated. Oh, right in the gut. That was.
Just compress your topping down a little bit, make sure they fit, firmly on top of the sushi, and they won't come out.
Rather the bat suit, punching Joker in the face and saving Goth. I am right.
All right, we go live in 5, 4.
Ready, camera 2. And wipe it.
Welcome to KBVR TV. Come join our team.
fall season. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
I don't know. It's like I'm like waiting for my life to get like worse. I don't know. Definitely like in the mornings when it's like all foggy out. But I don't know. It's kind of a vibe right now.
I am loving it. It's my favorite season, so I'm super excited about it.
What's the season make you want to listen to?
Right now I'm really into K-pop because it's like upbeat, it gets you going.
I tend to drift towards my Spotify like pre-made playlists that are kind of like based in, you know, the goth genre and whatnot. And, I mean, it seems to fit the vibe good enough for me, so.
Always go to Smith's fan. That one especially hits in the fall, I gotta say. I think so.
Right now I'm listening to bossa nova and jazz, which I'm really into, or breakout songs. It's brought my music to a slower pace. I'll do like more like folklore of Taylor Swift, a bit of Cigarettes After Sex, 1975, some of those. Really? Phoebe Bridgers.
100%.
Noah Kahan.
Yeah.
Girl in Red.
I honestly really love some R&B, SZA, Brent Faiyaz, or Frank Ocean, any of those.
Most of my playlists are like half hardcore in like screamo, and then the other half is like Adrian Linker and Phoebe Bridgers.
I've been listening to a lot of just, I don't know, like upbeat songs to get me ready and like wanting to do things.
A bit of Conan Gray lately, so a bit of him too. Play some Gurgel and Isakov.
Strawberry Wine by Noah Kahan.
Listening to a lot of Elliott Smith.
My buddy Valentine a lot.
Joji. I highly recommend him.
Called Free Fall by Rainbow Kitten Surprise.
The Cure, yeah, Cure.
Also Mazzy Star. Very autumn vibes. So yeah, I feel like all of that is a little like spooky.
Mellow.
Has like the mellow vibe. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Have a great day. Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
And with that, we're back. So, first things first, I'll definitely say it was interesting to see kind of the diversity in what everyone was listening to.
Oh yeah.
Seemed to be a lot of just like, you know, we had a lot of the favorites, like we were talking about the indie staples before, some like R&B stuff, but also some interesting stuff, reggae, jazz came up, K-pop.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting stuff that people are kind of listening to get into the season.
Yeah, it was really interesting. It honestly kind of inspired me to like actually branch out of what I usually listen to during the fall, because I feel like I've been listening to the same fall like artist genre for like years, because I'm really comfortable with it, but I never really thought about branching out.
Yeah.
Just because I think I associate fall with comfort, and I always go back to like my comfort artists during the season. So I think I'm feeling inspired.
Yeah, I definitely think. I think it's interesting kind of looking at the idea of like, I don't know, some people are very much like in the, because you know, the weather, we're not fully there yet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're still, I mean, you saw in the interview, it's still sunny out.
Yeah.
Of course, today it's cloudy and rainy.
Pretty cold. Yeah.
But you know, we're still having like some little days of sun here and there. So some people are still like listening to the upbeat stuff. And some people are like listening to the upbeat stuff because they want to like counter the energy that's coming out of it.
Ease themselves into, the colder weather. Yeah.
And some people are listening to like the sad stuff just because like they're trying to like, do the sad girl autumn thing, be
and
with the season,
prepare themselves.
ride the vibe.
Yeah, it's really interesting because you don't want to like fully like submerge yourself in like sad melancholic music this early in the season because you've got winter for that.
Right.
So yeah, it's like a nice like, let's ease yourself into this like, the ending of the year. Yeah, I mean beginning of the new school year, but ending of 2023.
Definitely.
Which feels crazy. It's so close.
Now, because you were bringing it up before, what's your fall playlist?
Ooh, so definitely lots of goth influences just because spooky season. It's the season to be alive or to be dead.
Ooh, spooky. Oh my goodness.
So definitely, I feel like earlier influences on goth. So like Velvet Underground, The Doors, and then branching into like indie, and then rock, and then The Cure, and then new wave and stuff like that. So kind of just a mix, but definitely the underlying notes of like goth.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that.
How's yours?
I think, me personally, like, I'm on the indie side, right?
Yeah.
I am, What was it? I brought up Mitski before.
Mm-hmm.
Mitski recently put out a new album about a month ago.
Yep.
It's great.
Oh yeah.
It's a great album.
I mean, she's a phenomenal artist.
No, she is. And it's just it's got everything. It's got everything you would want. You know, that sort of like sad autumn energy, right? Very, very much like very Pacific Northwest. It even has like the Americana backing to it. So you have the stuff like the slide guitars. A lot of stuff that's just, it's very, I don't know, it feels very of the season, very of the mood.
Yeah.
But then, of course, all that got interrupted because then I saw the, what was it, the Talking Heads Stop Making Sense concert movie. And then it's like, oh, now I'm listening to like Talking Heads, and that's my fall
Now you
music.
can't stop.
Yeah, exactly. That's my fall energy right now.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
But you know, it is what it is. I think that'll definitely change, like I said, when that rain starts actually coming in, and that, you know, the sun actually disappears for like 2-3 months.
Oh yeah. Ooh.
And it'll be like, well, now I'm actually listening to actual depressing music.
Yeah, it's depressing music, exactly. And you were talking about Mitski's album. It's very different from her previous ones.
Definitely.
Very.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, it's not a Mitski show, but you know.
But it can be for a minute.
No, it's very interesting. Just the different energy that it has into it, and just it's what is it? It's definitely one of her cleanest projects. It's one of her, from what I've been hearing from people, at least from other people who listen to it, like it's one of her probably it's going to be her most commercially successful album.
Yeah.
Because it has this very unique and distinct sound.
It's not as rugged.
It's not as rugged. It's playing, like I said, into that Americana vibe, which is big now.
Yeah.
And, you know, I do think it's funny that it's Americana and not country, because, you know, you call it country and it's not cool, but you call it Americana, it's like,
hipster cool, yeah.
Which, you know.
Thank you, Taylor Swift.
Yeah, of course. Which, you know, fits more into that sad girl autumn vibe.
Yeah.
That, you know, an Americana, Pacific Northwest, you know, big pines wandering through when it's like morning and it's damp and it's cold and it's miserable.
Your latte on the way to class, oh yeah, all of that. All that fun fall stuff.
Yeah. No, it's definitely very interesting. Do you not think, because you kind of brought it up before, do you think, because you were saying like, oh, you like listening to goth stuff, that's like your usual rotation. Do you think that aligns with Sad Girl Autumn?
I think it aligns in the fact that Sad Girl Autumn and goth are very, their artists don't claim them as much as they would like with pop and other things like that. So I feel like it's kind of hard to really put it down somewhere.
Yeah.
But I also think that's why it's so fun to explore.
Okay, definitely. And with that, and speaking of goth, we're going to take a short break, and when we get back, we're going to talk about goth as a genre, and then afterwards, we are going to play a little game with that. So, stay tuned for it.
Catch you there.
One thing I really love about my job is I get to work with a lot of different people and have a lot of fun with them.
Oh man, the bullpen, it's honestly my second home. It's always like something's going on here, it's always music playing, but at the same time, it's like that one big family feel here. So yeah, that's what the bullpen means to me.
It's a place where we like to foster a lot of our community, where you get to know people really well, a place to hang out.
What I like about Omen in general is just like, it's just like the community aspect.
It's just such a fun place to work. I always like to say it's the best job on campus.
It's like the one place like where like you could be like radio, work for a magazine publication, you can do everything and like it's kind of accepted and normalized. So yeah.
It's just so much fun. I can't stress that enough.
Why not work here? It's a really cool place to be.
We're back. While Sad Girl Autumn may be a difficult to define genre due to its broadness and lack of artists who claim it, our next genre is one that is difficult to define because of the infighting of artists and listeners who struggle with determining who is actually worth the title and who is just a poser. Starting in 1979 with Bauhaus, Bela Lugosi's death, Goth, has been an ever-contentious genre, which also extends far past the actual music, touching numerous aspects of culture, including what one is wearing, what they watch, and who they surround themselves with. Bauhaus' mix of post-punk instrumentals with grand theatrical lyrics of depicting the funeral of Count Dracula established the hallmarks of first-wave goth and brought around later staples of the genre. Bands like The Cure, Susie and the Banshees, they dive into the sound and transition entirely to a new genre.
By the early 80s, goth was completely established with cultural touchstones to boot. It had fashion, it had a set of conventions and practices, and it even had nightclubs, places like the Batcave in London, which broke away from the contemporary club scene, proudly displaying two rules: no funk, no disco, and was geared towards a gothic and punk music and the dancing scene that surrounded it. Goth as a genre became a powerful musical force, serving as one of the pillars standing against glam rockers and their ilk from dominating the airwaves. Mostly found on college radio stations alongside punk and new wave tracks, the goth genre skewed younger, and the college environment only further expanded its development. However, by the early 90s, goth was pushed back underground, replaced by genres like electronic industrial music on the dance floor and grunge on the radio. And so the scene went back as well, never disappearing fully, but certainly losing a lot of its cultural power. I think, it's kind of one of the interesting things about goth is that it does have like a long storied history.
Yes.
Right? You start in, like I said, 79 with Bauhaus, but you can even trace it, before that.
Before that. Yeah.
And I just think because of that, it's like, there are multiple waves of goth, but I think goth does have some still some pretty central conventions to it that make it goth to distinguish it from, let's say, another genre that people might incorrectly ascribe as similar, but very different.
Are you referring to emo?
I could possibly be referring to emo.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I've got a game for you.
Okay.
So, this game is called Goth vs. Emo. The gist of this game is that I will show Amergen some artists and some lyrics, and he has to decide whether they're goth or emo. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right, let's get into it.
First oh boy.
So difficult, I know.
All right. My instant reaction here. All right. I see, you know what I see? I see a boy trying his hardest to fit in and to look cool.
Yes.
And I see a distinguished gentleman.
Amazing.
So I'm going to have to say, this is emo on the right, and goth is on the left.
You're absolutely correct. So this is Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance, the lead singer. And then this is Robert Smith, The Cure, lead singer of The Cure. We all know him. Amazing, yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right about their looks. That's primarily why I picked these two photos of them. They're similar in they're very much up close, but they're different in that one is very much raw and the other one is manufactured, honestly.
Yeah, the amount of effort that went into Gerard Way's look here is just kind of insane. This, I think it's interesting because goth, punk, new wave, all of these underground genres of the 80s are really designed to counter glam rock.
Yes.
Right, they're designed to counter the up, big in your face, that just look, right? It looks completely manufactured, and it's big, right? So with Robert Smith here, we have a bit more I wouldn't say underdeveloped, but a sort of
this is me.
Yeah. With Gerard Way here, he looks like a ghost. He's got the
perfect eyeshadow. Yeah.
No, it's insane.
Very perfected. So, getting to the music, we've got some lyrics here. I'll read them to you. So up top we have, I watched his wildest dreams come true and not one of them involving you.
Okay.
Down below we have, until exposed became my darker side, puckering up and down some avenue of sin. What can you tell me?
I think one of the defining aspects of the goth genre is a focus on like theatricality.
Yes.
Right, because like we were saying, the song that starts the genre is Bauhaus, Bela Lugosi's Dead, right? And in it, there's a description of like Count Dracula's funeral, you know, the bats have left the bell tower, describing Dracula's coffin, like laid in like red velvet.
Lots of imagery.
And I think because of that, I think the bottom one here is goth, just because there's a much greater focus on creating like this imagery, there's like a poetic aspect to it, and the top one is just not there, not as much.
It's not there. You're absolutely correct. So up top we have Misery Business, Paramore, and down below we have Dark Entries, Bauhaus.
Let's go.
Yeah, Paramore, great band. They've developed from their emo phase.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think they've done a phenomenal job of like escaping that genre.
No, it's interesting how they've developed, because a lot of emo groups definitely struggled to get out of that.
Or they broke up, or they just, who knows where they are now.
No, a lot of them definitely like fell apart, or even the ones that still have the same sound, like they don't have the same cultural impact as they used to.
Yeah, but Paramore is still prevalent.
They're still there, still doing their stuff.
Speaking of artists, let's look at some artists.
Oh
Oh,
boy.
I know. Okay, I just go right ahead.
I gotta say, our boys on the left, those are our emo boys. And on the right, that's our goth kings.
Goth Kings, you're absolutely correct. So right on the left we have Panic at the Disco, very much emo, almost like the creators of emo. I feel like once I started hearing Panic at the Disco like on the radio, that's when I knew like, oh, emo's here.
Right.
Typo Negative, an underground kind of goth band. Not a lot of maybe goth people would know about them, just because they're very much goth, but they're also metal.
Right. I think most people would associate Typo Negative as a metal group.
But their vampire goth is really what, I mean, even the artists say that they're very much vampire goth, and even their songs are very much like vampy and like have that effect on them. Really, really good.
Man, what was, admittedly, it is like, once again, that early 2000s like cultural force. Panic at the Disco doesn't look good in this.
The hair, the outfits, the ties, what's going on?
Yeah, that one where everyone was like, you know, we're bringing it forth Paramore, like the ties can work, but yeah, it's just, they look like children.
They look like children. That is exactly it. And you know, it makes sense, because at the time, I mean, when we think emo, we think like pubescent teens, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's goth that are like goth adults and things like that. But let's get into the lyrics.
All right.
All right. So up top we have, now I don't want to feel a thing anymore. I'm tired of begging for things that I want. Down below we have, this is the happy house. We're happy here in the happy house, to forget ourselves and pretend all is well.
So speaking of emo, thinking about like that sort of like energy of, you know, being a teenager and going through puberty and being like, oh, it's so difficult, my life's so hard. The top lyric there is definitely giving off a lot more of that energy.
Yeah, very self-centered.
Very self-centered, very individualistic, very much like, you know, it's just, it's so hard, things are so difficult.
So difficult for me, and only me.
Well, the second one here is interesting because it's like, I think the second one's interesting because it almost like calls to like the subgenre itself. It calls to like the goth community.
Yeah.
Right? Which I think is a big one here, where it's like emo never really had that.
No.
Right?
Well, because goth is such an old community. I mean, it spans from, like you said, like the late 70s. Well, emo is very much like late 90s, early 2000s kind of thing.
And emo died out really quickly, too.
Very quickly. Yeah, it came fast as much as it went fast, too. Yeah.
I think because I just never had the chance to like develop any of that like camaraderie of that same community.
Yeah, exactly. So, you're absolutely, so emo, goth,
there we go.
You're correct. So up top we have King for a Day, Percival with Kellen Quinn. And then down below we have Happy House by Susie and the Banshees, who I have mentioned before. Percival is another like band that, yes, emo, but metal, very metal, actually. I think that's why I think they're the more respectable emo bands out there, because metal's a very hard genre to play at.
Yeah, definitely. It is just very interesting. Kind of like how all the underground genres kind of group themselves together.
Yeah.
Where it's like it's very difficult to like describe you know, you can say like, oh, goth music has like these particular aspects to it, or it's like emo does or metal does or whatever. But you know, ultimately a lot of those underground sounds are just kind of all blended together, and a lot of those hard distinctions aren't really made by the music or even the musicians themselves. It's more made by like the industry that's trying to kind of
monopolize
narrow down,
on them. Yeah.
Yeah, monopolize and narrow down on the audience it's trying to sell towards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, we got some more artists.
So on the right here, as much as I want to say, ooh, that's emo right there, because that's trying too hard. There's something about it that's like, it's evocative of like older imagery.
Yes.
There's a lot of, and you know, it is, to be fair, it is an older image as well. So to say it's evocative older, just kind of because it is an old image.
Yeah.
But it's like, it has, I don't know, it feels like it's tied to something culturally. Versus,
significant, yeah.
Yeah, whereas the ones on the left here honestly kind of look like a boy band.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say goth lower right, emo upper left.
You're absolutely correct. So here, the boy band looking people, we've got Taking Back Sunday. And then we've got up here Roz Williams from Christian Death, goth. Amazing band. Yeah, you're absolutely right about the whole boy band kind of look. I kind of wanted to trick you there. I kind of wanted you to think this one was emo just because it looks like he's, you know, a little bit more in the getup.
Yeah.
But you know, you're absolutely right. The image looks old. It looks like they're in an underground club somewhere. Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Last one, some lyrics. Up here we have, I think you already know. I think you should just go right ahead and say it.
I'm just a notch in the bedpost, but you're just a line in the song. I love the angst.
It's all there.
It's not even anger, it's just mad to be mad.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then down here we have my mouthing at you, my tongue the steak, I should welt, should I hold you, I should gash, should I kiss you.
Yeah, it's goth.
It's romantic, it's gothic, it's like poetic. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. That Fall Out Boy impression, very impressive.
Yeah, thank you.
So up here we have Sugar, We're Going Down by Fall Out Boy. On every radio ever, and every Hot Topic ever.
Yeah.
And then down here we have Blind Dumb Deaf by the Cocteau Twins. A new wave band that is very much gothic.
Yeah.
Kind of what we see with The Cure. I feel like this song Blind Dumb Deaf is very a goth song, but Cocteau Twins are like their more mainstream songs are very much new wave.
Yeah.
And you see that with like, The Cure.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
because all The Cure's popular stuff is new wave.
Exactly. It's like Boys Don't Cry. Like the underlying like tone of Boys Don't Cry is goth, just like the lyrics and like the meaning behind the song.
But it's new wave energy.
But it's very much new wave energy. I mean, there's so much synth in it and everything.
Right.
Same thing with the Cocteau Twins. Their more popular songs do have a lot of synth in it, which makes it very much new wave.
Yeah. And I think with Fall Out Boy, you know, it's interesting here. As much as we're ragging on like emo.
Yes.
You know, it's just like every genre, it's a time and place thing, right? Goth got popular in the late 70s and early 80s because that was like the cultural vibe, right? Emo got popular in the early 2000s because that was the cultural vibe at the time, right? And as much as we want to rag on it, you know, Sugar, We're Going, like Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco, Pierce the Veil, these are groups that like played on the radio all the time. If you grew up in the 2000s, like this is what was just kind of in your
head all the time.
Right. And you know, like I said, it fit the energy of the time, trying to figure out what's going on, being angsty with everything going on in a, you know, post-2000s world. Is kind of how it all fits together there. And I think, you know, that's why we can't rag on it too much.
Yeah, I mean, music is just one big melting pot at the end of the day.
Exactly. And with that, that is all the time we have for today. So thanks for stopping by and learning about sad girl autumn and goth music. And with that, we'll see y'all next time.
Stay safe.